Hi everyone! Hope everyone's doing well. It's really, really hot, so if you hear fans, too bad, because it's hot. It's like 95 today. So, couple of things before we start. Depending on when this is released, it's probably going to be released this Friday as I'm recording. What is this Friday, actually? My brain has gone no Fridays. Friday is the 17th, so hopefully this will be released on the 17th. And if it is, here are some news bits so I don't do it at the end, because for whatever reason my brain goes, let's forget what we're supposed to do and just do everything at the end while we do the whole spiel and we have to start over. And yeah, I don't want to start over because this is the second time I've recorded this and I don't want to do a third. So first off, I do have a website coming soon. I don't know when soon is, just soon. So everyone who keeps asking, I don't know. I'm still working on it. I am a one person shebang thing. It's only me. So yes, website is coming soon. Friday, also, if you have not caught my Motherland Midnight Binge, it will be kind of released on Friday, also on the 17th, just on YouTube. So follow all the links to YouTube. It will be there somewhere. Yes. Same username, Utter Randomness with Lulu. So it's all there. What else? I think that's it. Sort of, kind of, a little bit. I'm still trying to do the whole schedule thing once a week, so there might be about 2 episodes, but it's like a re-release and a new release and articles and all that thing. So hopefully I can do this because I'm trying really, really hard. But let's jump right into it. So this sitcom ran from September 22nd, 1994 to May 6, 2004 and ran for 10 seasons. This show was created by David Crane and Marta Kaufman and aired on NBC. It revolved around an ensemble of people, which starred Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, Matt LeBlanc, Matthew Perry, and David Schwimmer, who lived in Manhattan, New York. So on this Flashback Friday, we're exploring the incredibly popular sitcom Friends. I'm Lulu, your host, and you're listening to Utter Randomness podcast thing. Yeah. Friends ran for 10 seasons, and the series was obviously episodic or serial, as you might probably say. So I am not going to go by season sometimes like I usually do. I'm going to go just through an overall premise. So we are introduced in the first episode to Rachel Green, and she is a sheltered yet friendly woman who happens to also to be a runaway bride, and she is united with a wealthy childhood friend, Monica Geller, who is a chef. Now Rachel, who is now leaving her life behind, becomes a waitress at Central Park, which is a West Village coffee shop, and she's introduced to Monica's I can't say that word today. I wanted to say that word, but that word's not coming out. But let's try another word. Do. I should play the Jeopardy theme song. I'd probably get copyrighted if I did that. But she's introduced to her array of friends. Phoebe Buffay, who is a eccentric masseuse and musician. Joey Tribbiani, who is a dim-witted yet loyal struggling actor. Chandler Bing, who is a sarcastic, self-deprecating IT manager. And Ross Geller, who is a sweet-natured but insecure paleontologist. Now, the episodes follow these bands of friends through the 10 seasons, which include their lives as they struggle with jobs, romantic interests, and so much more. And like most shows, they follow themes, arcs, and everything else is divided usually by season. For example, season 1 is mostly about getting to know these characters. Rachel is a runaway bride, the introduction of friends, romantic and job interests, struggles, and so much more. But as I said before, I won't go into individual seasons or episodes. I'll probably pick my favorite at the end, or at least a moment. I'll pick a favorite moment. Now, production. As I said before, this was created by David Crane and Marta Kaufman. They came together after their sitcom Family Affairs was actually canceled by CBS in 1993. They pitched Friends to NBC believing it would be a perfect fit there. The entire idea of Friends was inspired by Crane and Kaufman's time after college when they lived in New York. Friends was actually originally titled Insomnia Cafe and was pitched in 1993, ended up working out because the then president of NBC, Warren Littlefield, was seeking a comedic show about an ensemble of young adult characters, and this is pretty much what he was looking for. So, but unfortunately, the ideas that were pitched to him before Friends and that had the thematic and story elements, they were just terrible, according to some of the research I did. But he was truly impressed with Crane and Kaufman because they knew their characters. They knew where they wanted their characters to end up. So a test pilot was greenlit while a test pilot was greenlit. Now, Littlefield actually wanted the show to specifically cater to a generation, specifically Generation X. Now, remember, this came out in the 90s, but the crew disagreed and wanted the show to be related to anybody who ended up watching and not just a very specific generation. The pilot episode's name was changed from Friends Like Us to Six of One to avoid similarities with ABC's then sitcom Friends, These Friends of Mine. Now, the show was becoming favored by NBC, and calls just became pouring in for actors to be involved. Auditions were held in New York and LA. Now, during this process, the actors list was whittled down to 1,000. Now, remember, there was actually a lot of people who wanted to be involved with this show. So it was whittled down to 1,000, and then to about 75 before finally only a handful were left per character. Ross was already written with Schwimmer in mind. They already wanted him for this particular character, so he was the easiest to cast. Courtney Cox auditioned for Monica. However, originally the creators and the crew were more leaning towards Rachel for Courtney, which was quickly nixed during the audition phase, and Cox was given the role of Monica. Matt LeBlanc completely turned the character Joey on its head. He played Joey more simple-minded than originally intended. The creators agreed that LeBlanc gave him more heart, more character, more spirit. However, Crane and Kaufman really actually didn't want LeBlanc as Joey, but the network stepped in and asked him actually to be cast. Jennifer Aniston, Matthew Perry, and Lisa Kudrow went through the audition process smoothly for Rachel, Chandler, and Phoebe. Now, as the cast was being casted, the storyline was continuously altered to fit each of the actors better, such as Joey, specifically like Joey, whose character became a whole new person when LeBlanc stepped into the role. In its early seasons, many critics felt like Friends was a Seinfeld wannabe. And if you're not familiar with Seinfeld, that was Friends before Friends, I guess you can say. If you're only familiar with Friends, I do recommend Seinfeld. It's a wonderful show, but keep in mind when it was created, people. This show, I think, played in the most 90s, and I even think in the 80s, or at least the early 90s. I didn't watch too many Seinfeld episodes. But funnily enough, some of these scripts were actually reworkings of never before aired Seinfeld episodes. As Friends gained more seasons, the reviews, though, became more and more positive. Obviously, today it is often said that it's one of the most popular sitcoms that ever aired. Robert Bianco of USA Today said, "It may have been impossible for any one episode to live up to the hype and expectations built up around the Friends finale. But this hour probably came as close as fans could have reasonably hoped. Ultimately, the 2-hour package did exactly what it was supposed to do. It wrapped up the story while reminding us why we liked the show and will miss it." Moving on to awards, the series won so many. It won the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Comedy Series in 2002. The series also won an American Comedy Award, a GLAAD Media Award, a Golden Globe Award, 3 Logie Awards, 6 People's Choice Awards, a Satellite Award, and a Screen Actors Guild Award. And it was nominated for 62 primetime Emmy Awards, only winning about 6. Pretty consistently throughout its 10-season run, Friends garnered at least 30 million views. Season 2 and 10 were Friends' probably best seasons viewership-wise, accruing approximately 50 million views, while season 3 was its worst season at approximately 28 million views. But that's not something to snuff your nose at, let's be for real. Friends actually had a huge cultural impact, believe it or not. More specifically in the language reasons. If you hear my cat, I apologize. She's super clingy today and she might meow at me. So you might actually get a cute little meow clip today. Hi. Anyways, as I totally derail for a second. So for example, Joey's catchphrase, "How you doing?" became a popular used phrase, and Chandler's habit of leaving sentences unfinished, like this weird thing, unfinished for sarcasm, became also an influence. The intensifier so, S-O, became the most used intensifier, and even though this was already becoming an evident change in speech, the show actually sped up this process of becoming a most popular used intensifier. So, to all my non-grammar readers and listeners out there, so, S-O, is commonly used to modify adjectives. And adjectives are old, green, large, blue, young. Those are adjectives. After this shift in language, it became so green, so old, so large, so young, so blue, because so, the word so, became an intensifier. Now, Friends has also been credited for assisting non-English speakers to learn the language. Most notable celebrities were Liverpool FC manager Jurgen Klopp, Belgian professional golfer Thomas Pieters, and BTS member RM. And they all credit Friends. Hello. She's tapping on me. I am so sorry. I am like going to derail this for my cat for half a second. Do you want to say hi? Hi. Oh, sorry. Say hi. Sorry, I had to do it. I don't think I have a clip of her yet just meowing at me. She's totally clingy today. So I apologize. But at least you got a meow and I can see all the cat people going, "Is that mine?" Oh, she just meowed again. She wants to get in my lap as I'm trying to record. So, reunion. In 2019, Warner Brothers announced that they were developing a reunion on HBO Max, and this would feature the cast and creators. Now, HBO further confirmed this in 2020, mentioning that an unscripted special titled "The One Where They Got Back Together" what was going to be released in May 2020, along with all 10 seasons of Friends. It was later announced that the reunion would take place and be filmed on the old Friends stage. However, unfortunately, as we all know, 2020 just kind of was a huge dumpster fire. The reunion was indefinitely postponed because of the ongoing pandemic. Unfortunately, a lot of things were canceled or a lot of things were postponed until safety regulations could be implemented better. Now, in November 2020, Matthew Perry posted that filming had now been greenlit. This is about 6 months after the initial May announcement. 6 months almost. Filming was greenlit, but filming wouldn't begin until March 2021. Now, a lot of people end up thinking, like, would this ever be officially released? And a trailer was actually officially released in May of 2021. And the reunion was fully released on HBO Max on May 27th, 2021. Now, Friends is just one of those shows you kind of just grew up watching on Thursday nights with your family. Like, I even watched a few of them myself growing up. Pretty much everybody knew it growing up. I would personally rate Friends a 3.1 out of 5. It is by no means story-wise a bad show. It's got some great moments in it, but it has aged considerably. And like a lot of the shows that came out in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, some episodes and some moments are questionable and that is putting it quite mildly. Friends has defined a generation. It really has. But if you haven't seen it and you just know it for the moments that you see on Twitter or wherever else you look at memes and other little things, you're not missing too much. I would say it has a lot of heartfelt moments, has a lot of funny moments. And if you can overlook some of its more questionable moments because of when the show was created, even though some of these moments I don't think would have passed, shouldn't have passed even then, but I digress a little bit. If you can overlook some of the questionable moments, it is a good show. And I think it's still actually on HBO Max for watching. I mean, would I suggest it? Yes, I would suggest watching it because it did define a generation. It defined some of my generation. I think I don't like that's a funny thing when I said earlier why I probably won't say my favorite episodes. I remember moments like one of my all-time favorite moments, and I think actually Google will still do this. It's the pivot moment when they're trying to move the couch upstairs and Ross is yelling pivot, pivot, and then Chandler yells it back to him, and there's a whole blooper reel for that, and they're just giggling mad, and it made me laugh so much. Like there are moments that are just iconic for Friends. Is it Joey? I can't remember, but Turkey Head, whoever wears the dolled up turkey head. I can't remember if it was Joey. I think it was Joey. Or another moment is the iconic the West Side Village cafe. Like that's that's that scene itself, or not that scene, but that stage, the staging for that is iconic in itself too. They've had a few reunions in the Friends apartment, and that became iconic. I did not watch the HBO Max reunion, and I think it's still on HBO Max. Maybe I should have double checked before this recording because now I feel like an idiot if that's not true. I'm pretty sure it is. I did watch the Harry Potter reunion, but I did not watch the Friends reunion. And I think that's because of how young actually I was when the show naturally aired. I remember bits and pieces of it when I got older and we would watch it. And you also got to remember TiVo and DVR did not exist when I was a kid. So you would just watch reruns of episodes. But it's a good show. But if you don't want to watch it or it's not your thing, I don't think you're missing out on too much. But that's just my opinion. Obviously, some people just absolutely love Friends. Their whole thing is around Friends. And like I said before, I just remember moments, like moments that are iconic, moments that a lot of people know. And I think that's about it. Because I said my news earlier, so it feels weird ending it the way I'm ending it. So, as I said earlier, website coming soon. And I have a re-upload of Motherland Fort Salem season 1 on YouTube. This will be posted today on the 17th. So today on the 17th, we're going to time travel to the 17th. And then I don't know what next week's going to hold. I'm thinking it might be another midnight binge. Maybe another random segment. Maybe I'll do my currently reading that I've been putting off for 10 months. I don't know. I think that's it though. I do have articles coming out. I think I'm going to have another under the radar segment come out. I really, really want to do Firefly and Serenity. And another one that I kind of want to do is Titan AE. That's a really, really under the radar one. I've not met a person who's actually watched Titan AE, and I think because it was overshadowed by so many other things, and it's really good, but that's beside the point. All right, so I will catch you guys next time.